Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Force Support Career Field webcast. My name is Sandy Hillard, and joining me is Bob Black. We're assigned to the Force Support Career Field team, known as the CFT, and we'll be briefing the introduction to the development team process and the AY20 Civilian Developmental Education and Civilian Strategic Leader Program call today. We have some major changes to tell you about, and today's briefing should take about 30 minutes. We will have a question and answer session after the briefing, where the CFT will answer your submitted questions. In addition, we are streaming this webcast live on Facebook for the first time. The link was in the MyPERS message that went out last week and is listed on the bottom of the next slide. At the end of the briefing, please use the group chat function to ask questions related to today's webcast topics. We have a full agenda for you today, so let's get started. In an effort to better serve the Force Support career field, we find it beneficial for you to know the Force Support CFT's vision and mission. Our focus as a team is centered on building leaders, such as yourselves, through deliberate educational and professional development programs. We do this by recruiting, developing, mentoring, and sustaining a highly skilled workforce. Today's webcast starts with an overview of who takes care of employee development for Force Support. We'll highlight the Force Support development team, list their duties and membership, and identify the members of Force Support CFT. The next topic discusses how you fit into the development process, which is important for your career development. Additionally, the presentation provides a review of the basis for effective development within the Force Support career field. Next, we'll address what you can expect when preparing and submitting your civilian developmental education and/or civilian strategic leader program packages. Finally, today's webcast will conclude with a list of resources available to you. The Air Force relies on the development team, or the DT, to be a conduit between the force development system, framework, and policy by translating these into career vectors for you. The leaders depicted on this flowchart play a critical role in developing civilians to support current and projected mission capabilities. The functional authority establishes the DT membership and appoints the DT chair. Membership is made up of our Force Support stakeholders, such as the functional manager, the career field manager, and MAGCOM level functional leadership. The team identifies Force Support community civilians for current and future requirements. Selectees are chosen for their appropriate education, training, and levels of experience. This year, the Force Support DT will meet from July 8th through the 12th. Support candidates to compete at the Air Force level Civilian Developmental Education Board. The annual CDE and Civilian Strategic Leadership Program call will be released in February, and the application process will be open 1 March through 1 May. The CDE office and process is separate from the Force Support CFT DT and CSLIP call. The CDE office manages the in-residence basic, intermediate, and senior developmental education allocations for all Air Force civilian career fields. In addition, they vector participation and the Defense Strategic Leadership Development Program, the Civilian Strategic Leader Program, the Executive Leader Development Program, and the Excellence in Government Program. Each of these programs is supported by your career field team. In addition to the development team, the CFT is instrumental in ensuring force support employees are informed and prepared. Ms. Dawn Rayner, the chief of your career field team, is responsible for supervising 5 sections which provide worldwide management advisory services to 158 major organizations, including Headquarters Air Force and Civilian Career Management, for approximately 40,000 appropriated fund and non-appropriated fund employees across the force support spectrum. The 5 sections which make up the CFT are Force Development, Strategic Communications and Analysis, Force Operations, and Non-Appropriated Funds. The Force Development section oversees the CB, KCP programs, CSLIP, and overall DT process, CDE management, centrally managed training, and tuition assistance. The Strategic Communications and Analysis section is responsible for both SharePoint and MillSuite system maintenance, career field matrix maintenance, policy review, monthly webcast, quarterly newsletters, and communication plans. The Force Renewal section oversees the Pathways program, recruiting, individual development plan creation and maintenance, PAC communications plan, central salary account program review, and Force Renewal program maintenance. The Operations section oversees all force support recruitment and placement actions, CFM coordination packages, and assessment preparation. The NAF section oversees career development and analysis for all NAF personnel. Now that you've been introduced to the career field team members and the DT process in general, you may wonder where you fit in and what your role is in the development process. The answer is that you fit in somewhere on this pyramid. As you can see, there are a variety of experiences available in the force support career field. To move from the tactical to the strategic level, you must possess or be working on several desired attributes. The next few slides will concentrate on the basis for effective development, starting with highly desired attributes. Effective leaders are those who fully understand the operational total force, can demonstrate breadth and depth in their career field, and have proven their ability to lead at various levels. There are 2 distinct types of leaders in the Air Force: functional and enterprise. Functional leaders are subject matter experts and gain technical competencies in their chosen occupation at different organizational levels, such as installation, MAGCOM, FOA, air staff, and or different geographic locations. These leaders may or may not be mobile. Functional leaders who stay with their core area, such as manpower or services, become subject matter experts in their functional area, but may have limited promotional opportunities. Gaining experience in at least 2 of the 3 core areas through a variety of positions will help you develop into the enterprise leader the Air Force needs. Obtaining competencies in various subsets of core areas such as personnel, manpower, and services will provide greater promotion opportunities. Whereas enterprise leaders gain a broad perspective of the Air Force. These force support civilians have depth and subject matter expertise in their chosen occupation up through the GS-12 and GS-13 grade levels, and then begin gaining breadth. Ideally, members need experience in 2 of the 3 core function areas, which are personnel, services, or manpower. To gain experience in the GS-12 and 13 levels, commanders and supervisors should consider detailing civilians into positions outside their occupational series. Interpersonal and team relationships are essential to civilians as they move to positions with increased duties and responsibilities. These competencies are gained through supervisory experience. The enterprise leaders seek key assignments, such as the ones listed on this slide. These positions provide a significant test in leadership, organization, resource management, and core functional expertise. Additional development opportunities, such as career broadener and key career positions, help strengthen the whole person concept. Overseas assignments and deployments benefit both the functional and enterprise leaders. They provide invaluable experience with different programs, laws, and benefits, such as a host nation, civilian rules, status of forces agreements, greater sense of community, and immersion into a different culture. Both types of leaders are necessary for a successful Air Force. Now that we've discussed the importance of career development, Bob Black will discuss this year's CDE and CSLIP call.
Thank you, Sandy. Good afternoon, everyone. The Force Support DT considers 6 major attributes when considering selection for CDE programs and career vectoring. So successful job performance is the primary focus of the DT. Supervisors and employees alike should take a vested interest in ensuring their appraisals are not only written to show current job performance, but also to show potential for future opportunities. The DT will ensure your previous positions are relevant to the force support career fields, take into consideration your supervisory experience as a civilian and other experiences derived from joint or deployed assignments. Finally, the DT will make note of your appropriate education and PME as listed here. Regardless of the leadership track taken, acquiring the proper education, both academic and professional, is paramount in order to develop the credible and competent leaders the Air Force needs. If you look at the previous Force Support career diagram slide, you will see a bachelor's degree along with appropriate grade level PME will play a vital part in placing you ahead of your peers when competing for leadership opportunities. This year's CDE and CSLIP call Force Support DT will have major changes from previous years. The platform in which applicants can submit their nominations to the CDE board may change. We are awaiting a final answer within the week. In the past, applicants completed an Air Force Form 4059 and submitted it through MyPers. If approved, half A1D along with the CDE office will be implementing a new process using existing technology to submit the application. MyVector will eventually become the platform tool. The resume and all supporting documents will be submitted through this process. The CDE office is currently developing a training video of the new procedures. If MyVector is approved for use, we will ensure this link is sent out to the Force Support field immediately. So be on the lookout in the next few weeks for this link through a MyPers message. In addition, it is highly suggested, foot stomp, highly suggested, everyone in Force Support begin validating and updating their duty history and educational experience in my vector. This information entered here will replace the application and the resume. Secondly, the Force Support DT will split the CDE process from the Career Development Plan process. In the past, applications for KCPs, key career positions, and career broadeners have been submitted at the same time as the CDE application. The new procedure will move the CDP programs to a fall DT in either October or November. In addition to the major changes of the CDE and C-slip call, there are also a few grade changes, plus one new addition and one course removal this year. ACSC OLMP and Legis will now be available to GS-12s, 13s, and 14s. Legis will no longer require a waiver for the 14s. In addition, RAND will be available for both GS-14s and 15s. A new course has been added to the CDE cycle, Leading with Impact, or LEWI, and will be available for GS-12 to GS-13s. One course which will no longer be considered during the CDE call is the Organizational Leader course. OLC will no longer be targeted to GS-12s and 13s. It will now be considered foundational training for all GS-11s. There will be a training call out later in the year for OLC. This year, the CDE will be broken down into 5 distinct areas: 3 forms of development education, academic fellowships, and leadership seminars. The primary purpose for the changes is to board applicants in like-minded programs. As you can tell, many of the short courses that were categorized under BDE, IDE, or SDE last year are now categorized under leadership seminars. The CDE board has found that some applicants are ready for a short course, but not quite at the point a longer course school is appropriate. So they are scored in accordance within each program. At the end of this presentation, we have attached backup slides giving information on the purpose, eligibility, length, and the requirements of each CDE program. We have reviewed the programs which form the basis for effective development. Let's take one look at the annual DT process. The CDE and C-slip call goes out to the field around the 1st of March. Individuals then notify their supervisors of their intent to participate and discuss the best program options based on their current level of development and the number of desired attributes they possess or are actively strengthening. As mentioned earlier, it is a possibility there will no longer be an electronic Air Force Form 4059. If this happens, the CDE and C-slip call will all be done in my vector. Applications may be available or will be available 1 March 2019, either through my vector or through the CDE call through my PERS. Applicants will fill out appropriate information and update their experience. Once complete, this will be forwarded to applicant's self-identified supervisor and endorser for concurrence and forwarded to the DT. This will eventually be completely automatic through my vector, with the only other action required to upload documents for certain programs. An endorser is a senior leader in the employee's chain of command, normally the first 06 or GS-15 for BDE, a general officer or SES for IDE and SDE. An endorser is expected to only submit their best and brightest and identify the return on investment. All applications will need to be completed and submitted by 1 May 2019. Applicants, please don't delay your submission of your application. We have found in the past that local routing procedures can be extensive and many applications have not been accepted because they were not completed prior to the 1 May deadline. With the possible implementation of the MyVector processing, we are not expecting any extensions to this cutoff date. So do not hesitate putting in your application. As a side note, if MyVector is used, please understand that only the supervisor and endorser will be able to see these packages for concurrence. If there is an extensive routing procedure at your location, local procedures need to be established. Once the application has been released by the endorser, the applications are reviewed by the career field team in preparation for the DT review in July. The DT will recommend which CDE and C-SLIP candidates are forwarded to compete at the Air Force CDE board. The Force Support DT results will be released in the September-October timeframe. The Air Force CDE results are released in late October or early November. As discussed previously, the CDE nomination call will cover Civilian Strategic Leadership Program as well as basic, intermediate, senior development education, and academic fellowships, along with leadership seminars. Please take note of the timeline. It is consistent with previous years. The official release message will identify the exact deadlines. It is important to pay attention to eligibility requirements and endorsement levels for each opportunity, as these may also be subject to change. We skipped one slide, as you guys can see, because it's about my vector and we're not sure about it. As always, please continue to access our Force Support SharePoint site or the Mill Suite page for the latest and greatest news in the Force Support career field. Once logged in, you will find links on the left side of the page to many resources for your use and information. In addition, the Force Support Training Guide has an abundance of information and training classes for almost every occupational series. We have also placed one-page guides in the Development Education Information link on the site. These guides are meant to provide an overview of certain topics for the supervisor and employee. We have guides that cover topics such as mentoring, the Civilian Development Plan, key career positions, writing effective civilian development packages, and more. For reference, Air Force Manual 36606, Civilian Career Field Management and Development, is the governing directive for the development process. Remember to visit the SharePoint site and or the Mill Suite page often to ensure you stay up to date on important topics with the Force Support career field and your professional development. And be sure to join us for our next webcast. This concludes this portion of the webcast. Thank you for your participation, and we welcome your feedback. Our team will stay to answer any questions you may have about the topics discussed today. All questions and answers will be posted on the Force Support SharePoint site in a day or two. We are going to scroll through informational pages for each class as we answer your questions. These slides will be available when you download this presentation and on Facebook Live. If you have no questions for us and want to exit the website, simply click the red X located in the top right corner of your screen. Thanks for all you do in support, and have a great Air Force Day.
Okay, thank you so much. We're going to answer your questions live today, so please type your questions in the chat area. Also, if you're on Facebook Live, type your questions in on Facebook Live. Thank you.
Ms. Karen Izdebski, in question, you're regarding using MyVector for CDE submission. How should an undocumented detail be handled in the work experience area? Can it be added somehow? Yes, ma'am. If you look at the third tab on there, you'll see a tab that says self-reported. And please put anything that you have in there that's not located already in MyVector, and that will keep in the process. I'd like to reiterate once again that any of the Force Support employees are out there, we highly recommend, as a matter of fact, we're trying to make it mandatory for anyone that's going to do it, to put in your information in MyVector as soon as possible. Even if we don't use MyVector this year, that program is eventually going to come online. And if you have your information out there, it'll just always be there in static. And so it's a great idea to go out there and do that. We're going to start using that for a lot of other availabilities as well. So we really want to foot stomp that, to go out there and start checking to make sure your data is correct out there. If you find that your data is not correct out there, this is not a two-way system in my vector. It will not tell will not tell DCPDS that you've made a change, like when you add your self-reported. So you're still going to want to go into MyBiz and fix any issues that you see. Some of the other things we found out last year was that many of the previous officers, their Air War College and PME did not transfer over to DCPDS. So it makes it a lot easier if you go in there and report it in there as well, instead of having it just on your resume.
Okay, if you have any questions on Facebook, please type them in.
Well, it looks like we did a really great job of answering all your questions just through the broadcast. So I think we're going to give it about 3 or 4 more minutes. If there's no other questions, we're going to sign off, and we really appreciate everybody coming out this afternoon. Thank you.